back. Round 3, back 9 coverage of the PDGA Amateur Disc Golf World Championships. Grant Zellner and Paavo Stubstad watching that man right there, Paul, extend his lead to 5 strokes on that opening 9.
Paul has been playing consistent golf all week. I'm excited to see if he can keep it going here on the back 9 at Pride's Creek. A beautiful park-style course with a lake that comes into play on many of the holes, and plenty of trees, too. Don't let the park golf fool you. There are lines to hit out here.
Jumping straight in now to hole number 10, a short par 3, 228 feet. This is a very obviously straightforward play.
Yeah, as I was saying, plenty of trees out here. Perhaps not so much on this hole. This is a very straightforward shot. I would imagine a par kind of feels like a bogey on this one. The players are all hoping to birdie.
Paul Krans now on the box.
Going with that forehand play. Fading out a little bit into the hillside, inside the circle.
This is Aidan Scott.
He prefers the backhand approach. And that was a little bit of an early release there. I mean, he's still circle's edge, but that doesn't feel satisfying on a hole that short.
Yeah,
he wasn't very happy with that
not
drive.
from 228 feet. This is Austen Bates. Pulled that just a little bit, but more than enough power to sort of break on through.
Yeah,
and this is Mathew Helms.
Branch didn't really do much to Austin's shot, and Mathew's shot here looks great.
Mathew plays so fast, I referred to him as Matt a few times in the front 9 coverage. I will endeavor not to do that because I don't know if he goes by Matt. So Mathew Helms. That's what you were named, and that's who you will be.
And here's Aidan for the longest birdie putt of the group. Oh, just over the top.
Aidan's putt's been sort of streaky so far today.
Yeah.
He'll work to dial that in across this back 9. Here's Mathew.
You could see Aidan was frustrated by that. Mathew for birdie. Yeah, like I said, I mean, a par feels like a bogey. You are losing strokes to the field if you par this hole. It averaged 2.41. Over half a stroke under par. Aidan makes the comebacker.
Not surprising given the talent in this field. Paul now stepping up. No more than 20 feet here.
Easy peasy.
A little bit difficult right now trying to create drama when it comes to Paul's game.
Yeah, especially on a pretty open 228-foot hole. That doesn't lead to much drama in any scenario.
So Paul is 7 down through his opening 10 holes here at Pride's Creek. Everybody else doing the best they can to keep up and stay in contact with Paul, knowing that there's still a lot of disc golf to be played here at the Amateur World Championships. We get a good look at Mathew's putt. Mathew has a great putting stroke. Moving on now to hole number 11, another short par 3. This one with a lot more to deal with. 237 feet, plays a little bit uphill. The basket perched on sort of a mound here off to the right.
And you may have caught a Mando during that drone preview, and an interesting note is you see it is not there now. So I guess that Mando's in play for the permanent course, but it was not in play for this tournament. So the wide hyzer is available to the players.
Paul trickling right up and over that stump. That was a pretty cool action.
How
there.
funny would that have been if it came to rest just perfectly on top of that? The players were talking about that on the tee after the shot.
There's Austen Bates following a similar line, missing that same stump by no more than 24 inches. Safely long, but he'll have a downhill look. Here's Mathew.
Going for the forehand hyzer, controlling the distance. Ooh, hits the ground right by the basket. Goes a little long. Should still have a birdie putt from there.
Fortunate tree kick. And here's Aidan working out that hyzer line.
I kind of like the wooded fairway. I'm confused why the Mando wasn't in play for the event. I like to see players have to throw up the gut. But hey, the Mando wasn't in play. Aidan played the numbers and took the less risky shot. Can't blame him.
Here's Paul, the longest look of the group from Circle's Edge.
That low left side, we saw him make a couple of those on the front nine as well.
Absolutely nobody able to pick up strokes on Paul. Once again, the best they can do is match and move on. Austen now going through his entire routine.
Solid putt. Good birdie from Austen.
Well done. Had a steep drop-off beyond the hole. That took a lot of commitment. We'll see Aidan now putting from where Austen would have ended up had he missed that putt. This for birdie for Aidan.
High left side.
Just can't get the putt dialed in today. And here's Mathew.
Solid.
Okay, so 3 out of 4. Birdie the short, par 3, 11th.
And Aidan taps in for par. 3 of our 4 players starting off with back-to-back birdies here on the back nine.
No surprise to see, once again, Paul's very consistent putting stroke.
Yeah, I really like that style that we talked about in the front nine where he kind of just squeaks it in over the top of the rim, but it's on purpose. It's not that his putts are coming out low. That's just how he putts. It kind of reminds me of Barsby does that as well, of course, with a lot more hyzer. But
Hole 12, a par 3, 354 feet. Appears at first like you're going to be playing directly toward the lake. Actually, the hole tucked over here to the left. Pretty well protected by these trees. A low ceiling makes a pretty precise shot necessary if you actually want to accomplish getting into this green.
yeah, as you can see, if you go for that left route, it is a really low ceiling, so most players are going to be playing out wider with more hyzer, hoping for a skip, but the grass is lush out here. You are not going to see many skips. Paul coming up a bit short there.
He threw a real slow disc off the tee there. I don't know if you noticed. It looked like a mid-range off, so he's almost playing for the par here.
Yeah, which is, I can't imagine that's what he was trying to do. He was probably trying to get the shot up higher and float it over there and wasn't trying to play for that skip.
Here's Mathew with a little more speed.
Good ground play there, playing into that hillside, counting on that counter skip. It's a smart way to attack the hole.
And Aidan, plenty of power. The opportunity to keep the disc low and still get it there.
And he found a little skip on the grass, and he's going to be in the circle for birdie. That's a great drive.
Paul, a deep run, sure. He'll drop in a par. Mathew in very quickly for his birdie. Here's Austen.
Oh, what? Yeah, his reaction to that is very appropriate. I mean, that was a solid putt. That was just a rejection by the basket. I'm sorry, Austen. Nobody wants to see that. Great tap-in birdie from Aidan there, doing all of the work off the tee. No putting required.
Paul safely in for par. Paul on a very long streak of going bogey-free that stretches all the way through yesterday's round. So
Indeed.
We'll see how long he keeps that streak alive. Getting a look now at Mathew's backhand form.
And that really shows if you want to make it to the green from that wide line to the right of that tree, you got to cut it real close to the tree, and he executed perfectly.
Certainly do. Hole 13. This par 3 measuring just about 250 feet. Playing to an island, actually. An out of bounds stretching over to the road from water's edge. Takes about 200 feet is all to carry that water.
And also of note, if you don't make it inbounds, you don't play where it crossed, there is a drop zone maybe about 40 to 50 feet deep of the pin, putting back at the downslope with the water behind it. A very scary drop zone, which we are going to see Mathew at after that drive hits the tree and drops in the water.
Perfect timing, as usual, my friend. Here's Aidan, looking to just throw something very, very hard into the hillside.
And he does just that. That did clear. We couldn't quite see it from that camera angle, but he is on the slope.
Caught an early branch, but he's over. Paul now, just precision right through the gap. Pin high.
Side hill putt from there for birdie. And this is an interesting approach right here.
Going for the road skip. And hitting the only possible obstacle in his way. That made a loud noise.
That startled everybody.
Here's Aidan uphill. That was about a 45-foot effort there.
Yeah, just over the top. He's going to have a little bit of a scary look coming back. Here we see the drop zone. Mathew wanting no part in that putt. I cannot blame him. That is just a disaster waiting to happen. If you run that airball, go OB again. I mean, I agree with his layup there.
Austen from 35. Once again, very, very close, but not in for Austen. A little bit of bad luck for him. And here's Paul from no more than 18 feet, taking once again the only birdie on the card, which is a theme. He has frequently been the lone birdie on the card.
Yeah, Grant. He is 9 under par through, 13 holes. That's an incredible round he's putting together here after an already incredible round 2 at Mesker yesterday.
No doubt about it. Everybody else cleaning up their pars here. In Mathew's case, cleaning up a drop-in bogey.
And as they clean up here, I have to shout out Ike Homburg for getting the ace on this hole today. Congratulations to you, sir.
I don't know where it came from, but all of the players on this card talking about ice cream being the reward for getting an ace.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the origin of that either, but it was pretty entertaining.
All right. Well, somebody got ice cream.
Plastic Addicts is proud to sponsor the coverage of the 2022 PDGA Amateur World Championships. Use code 22AMWorlds to get 10% off store-wide from now until the end of July. Orders over $70 shipped free. Thanks for choosing Plastic Addicts.
Rejoining our lead card here at Pride's Creek on the par 3 14th, 411 feet around a Mando. We just passed off to the right. My only notes on this hole say very right. The basket way over here, requiring a sharp anhyzer most likely to get anywhere near the pin.
I would agree with you there, Grant. I was about to say, usually for left to right hole, it favors the forehand, but this is so far right that a forehand probably isn't going to get far right enough. So the play is that high anhyzer with probably a stable disc that really carries far to the right.
Paul stepping up first and showing pretty much how it's done, giving himself a look from inside 50 feet, which is an excellent drive on this particular hole. Here's Aidan trying to do the same. Aidan powering through that anhyzer. Will be just a little bit long. Austen up next.
Oh, cut the corner a little too tight, hit the tree, took all the juice off of it, faded out.
Out in the open with an open look for a hopefully easy up and down for Austen. Mathew, very little routine, ready to go. Doesn't quite get the turn he was looking for.
Gets the full flight, though. Let's see. That will put him, maybe 90 feet there.
Here's Austen just laying up.
Not a lot of bogeys happened on this hole, but not a lot of birdies either. It's just a tough par 3 to reach, so I would imagine most players are okay with a par on this one.
Yeah, Matt
Bonus
laying up
birdie.
as well. Here's Aidan. That circle 2 edge putt falling harmlessly to the ground. Here's Paul with another opportunity.
Just a little low on that one. That would have been a stroke on most of the field there.
So everybody on our lead card here cleaning up their pars.
Not too much of a surprise on a hole like this. Blind, huge Anheuser, tough to be precise with a shot like that.
Yeah, you just don't want to be the guy that gets the bogey, because then you absolutely know you're losing strokes. If not to the field, you're losing strokes to the guys that you're in direct competition with. Don't want that to happen. Our players sort of entering the home stretch at this point. And as I mentioned before during opening 9 coverage, the wind sort of died down as the round went along, so less of a factor, giving these players more opportunities, hopefully, to cash in on some longer putts as we move on to hole number 15. 276 feet downhill. Obviously a par 3 in this case.
I like the way the tunnel shapes this hole. This just looks like a fun shot to throw. You really want to throw that straight backhand shot with a stable disc that gets a little ground play and skip to the left at the end, ideally.
Water just a little bit too far to really be any kind of a factor here on the 15th.
I would say in general the water comes into play a lot more on the front 9, which could relate to the wind factor you were talking about as well. The wind anywhere does tend to be stronger the closer you are to a large body of water.
Paul, a nice safe shot. That's the order of his game. Now Aidan.
Looks good. Get a skip. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these shots look like they would be perfect if the grass weren't so lush, but it just eats the skips.
Austen squaring up that tree. He would have been very, very close if not for that. Instead, he'll be about 45 feet out. Here's Mathew.
Well, I talked about it being a backhand shot, but half the card is taking the forehand line on the left, which perhaps is just as open, but the slope of the green is less favorable to shots coming in at that angle.
Mathew hitting an early tree, 80 feet short. Pretty solid bid there. Here's Aidan.
See the focus in his eyes. Wants this one.
He's been missing most of these circle 2 putts high today. I like the aggressiveness. Just needs to dial in the accuracy for tomorrow. Here's Austen. About 45 feet there.
Just high left side. Tickles chains.
That's 3 of the last 4 holes Austen has hit chain, but not dropped into the basket.
And I would argue one of those was not really his fault.
No doubt about it. Once again, stop me if you've heard this before, Paul with the only birdie on the card.
I think I may have heard that perhaps a few dozen times between yesterday's round and today's. Paul now 10 under par with 3 holes to play still. 27 under for the tournament.
During rounds 1 and round 2, Paul shot exactly 1 stroke worse, if that can be a word to use here, than the hot round.
Wow.
He's done that twice in a row, just 1 stroke off the hot round. We'll see how Paul finishes out this 3rd round as Austen puts out the par, and Mathew will do the same. We'll get one more look at Mr. Krans's putt. Again, low, again, sort of center left and dropping straight down into the basket. That's by design, and he does it with a great deal of frequency. Moving on to hole number 16. It measures 291 feet. You can play up the middle where the drone is flying right here. You can also, if you choose, play the high spiking hyzer out to the right. You may not get as close to the basket, but you might feel a little bit safer with that play.
Indeed. This is a hole, any hole like this with trees that frame up the fairway so perfectly, I would honestly love to see those two trees be a double mando. Not that I can blame Paul for taking this approach when he's allowed to. It's a smart play, but just to make the hole more interesting, it's fun to see players have to hit gaps versus throw big open hyzers.
Paul about 50 feet there from the basket, long and right, but safe. Here's Aidan choosing to go up the middle and paying the price.
And this is not a play I was expecting to see. The big forehand hyzer over all of the trees. Austen once again showcasing his power with that forehand. And he's in the circle. What a shot.
Yeah, right at circle's edge. Excellent result there as Mathew steps up.
Mathew going for the up the gut shot, but early release kicks off left.
So now with at least 200 feet to go.
Wasting no time, as per usual. Maybe circle's edge look for par.
Aidan also about 200 feet to the pin.
Keeping it low under the branches. Getting a little bit of ground play. He's a little frustrated. He's left some strokes out there this round. Not playing a bad round, but like you said, needing to dial in the putt.
What's Paul going to do here? He's got an opportunity from 50 feet, a downhill putt, though. Looks like he's setting up a step putt. He's going to run this.
Great putt. Imagine that, having such a lead, you're looking at a long, downhill, kind of scary putt, and you still just go for it.
That is just a right cross to the rest of the field. Austen.
Ooh. That's a good catch, if I'm being honest. That kind of made up for the basket being rude to him earlier. That basket was kind.
He deserved that, no doubt about it. And prevents, once again, Paul from carding the only birdie on the card. So that had to feel pretty good for Mr. Bates.
Oh, man. Still just a little high.
Mathew, though, safely in for his par, so Aidan will take the bogey here on the 16th. He'll be looking to dial in that putt before tomorrow's round back at Mesker, where he will, no doubt about it, need it with all of those short par threes on the back nine. As we get one more look at, is this the longest make so far of the day?
Well, no, we had that huge eagle putt from Aidan.
That's true. That's right.
But
Way back. Feels like that was yesterday.
But this, I do think this was the second biggest putt of the day.
Jumping over now to the second to last hole of the round, the only par 4 on the back nine, 468 feet. We're playing straight to the tennis court area here. A little bit of a right-hand kink in the fairway. But a big guardian tree there we flew past, a big evergreen that makes this a challenging shot.
I would say it should be the only par 4 on the back nine, but 18 is actually a par 4 as well. I would argue that it should be called a tough par 3, but it is labeled as a par 4.
You're right. I misspoke there. The first par 3, or par 4, excuse me, of the back nine. Here we go with Austen.
And hits the branch. Couple trickles, and should be an easy up and down for
We were all watching that shot closely. That one looked like it had some promise out of the hand. Here's Mathew.
Mathew going for the wide hyzer line. That flipped up more than he wanted. He's not happy with that, hoping that it settles before getting to the road.
It does.
The tennis court is actually going to be in his line a little bit for his upshot. We'll see how he handles that.
Aidan with plenty of power to get there.
Too much turn. He knows it. Can it get through or around the pine tree? It cannot.
Dropping straight down. Now Mathew, looking at about 150 feet, decides to go up and over.
That's kind of risky with how tall that fence is. You could easily see him getting over the first one and then catching the second one and ending up OB, but he kept it high enough and stalled it out enough to stop around the green.
Austen off of the base of the pole. That an excellent upshot. Aidan in close on this. This is a pretty soft par 4.
Pretty soft, but the shape of the fairway, I would argue, this could be just a very soft par 4 and be accurate as that. Whereas hole 18, I think people with power, they can reach it more easily than this one.
Well, even after a drive that disappointed him, Mathew in for the birdie. And we have, I think, a real opportunity for our first star frame in quite a while.
As is to be expected on a soft par 4 like this. As the players tap in their birdies here for the star frame you just mentioned, I have to give a shout out again. This guy got a shout out yesterday for an ace. Today he got the only eagle on hole 17. Congratulations, Lucas Went. Shout outs 2 days in a row without even being on coverage.
Everybody finishing out here on the 17th. And we will get a quick look one more time at Austen's power off the tee. Hole 18 here, 450 feet, as you mentioned, a soft par 4, a Mando there to the left off the tee does not really come into play very much. The hole bending back to the left and the basket nestled here in the shade.
So given that it forces a hyzer, players can't really do a flex shot. It probably requires about 500 feet of power to reach, but these days more and more players have that level of power even in the amateur division.
Yep. No doubt about it. Looks like you could choose to go down the left side if it weren't for that Mando out sort of toward the road. But the shape of the hole, I don't know that the basket would be very accessible that way. So the hyzer play makes a lot of sense. And Paul doing what Paul has been doing all day. Just a nice safe shot to the middle. Here's Austen.
Austen really trying to put enough power on that. Hopefully trying to get up there for an eagle, but obviously grip locked it a bit. Got it far, but kind of in the wrong direction.
A little bit of a pull there. He'll be close to 150 feet out from over there in that grove of trees. Here's Mathew.
Mathew, once again, like hole 17, he has a lot of power, but he overturned that one a little as well. That is a crush, though. I want to say he's almost pin high, but maybe 100 feet off to the right.
Aidan able to keep the disc on a hyzer line all the way. If it weren't for that tree, he might have been up there somewhere in the area of circle 2. Here's Paul. A nice, easy upshot.
Wow, chipping up, parked for birdie on that. That's going to finish him at 13 under par for this round.
And once again, one stroke off the hot round.
If you can do that every round of a tournament, you're doing really well. Wow, did that hit the basket?
It may have. It certainly went a little bit long after it landed. Here's Aidan. Everybody doing much the same here.
They want that eagle running those upshots. And here we see where Mathew ended up. That is almost pin high.
It sure is.
I think he has the power to reach this. If he got a drive off that didn't turn over like this one did, he could probably put himself in circle 2.
Let's see if Aidan can knock one in to end his round. That a boy. Well done there, Mr. Scott. Had the putter not quite working for him throughout most of the day, but ends up with a birdie on the last 2 holes. Austen Bates now going through the entirety of his routine.
And showing why he does that.
Mm-hmm.
Solid finish from Austen. And as we see the last 2 players tap out for birdie here, I got to give a shout out to the only eagle of the day on this hole from J.P. Wellman. Well done, sir.
Back-to-back star frames to end our 3rd round here at Pride's Creek for our lead card. We'll get a look here at Austen's approach into this 18th basket. After the round, though, we caught up with the man currently in 2nd place. Let's see what Mathew had to say.
Oh, that did hit the basket. Look at that.
With Mathew Helms, Annapolis, Maryland, a 7-under par effort today keeps you in 2nd place before the final round before the cut tomorrow. How do you feel about your play so far in this Am Worlds Championship?
Well, I feel pretty good. Let a little bit on the putts, but that's usual for me. So, but overall, I feel good.
You played an open course on day number 1 out at the country club, and then a tight course at Mesker, and then the open field here today. Tomorrow, back to Mesker, where it's tight again. Is it difficult to adjust from open courses to tight courses back and forth like this in this championship?
I don't think so, just because Maryland has a lot of wooded courses, and then they have some open courses too. So, and I like throwing open courses.
You're sitting at 22 under par, sitting well in 2nd place, however, 8 strokes behind Paul Krans in 1st. What's it going to take to catch Paul?
Jeez, I don't know. He putted amazing today. Just sticking to the game plan, take it shot by shot. Hopefully it works.
All right, Mathew Helms in 2nd at the 2022 PDGA Am Worlds Championship. Good to hear from Mathew Helms there at the close of a round that was a little cool for him, but he remains in 2nd place. Look at who has made their way onto the lead card, though. Ilken Groh, the U.S. Amateur Champion from just a couple of weeks ago with an 11-under par effort.
I am excited to see Ilken attack the wooded course tomorrow out at Mesker. Definitely my favorite of these 3 courses. I love all 3, but I gotta love some woods golf. I'm excited to see another round out there.
We'll see Austen Bates once again on the lead card, and of course your leader, now by 8 strokes, Paul Krans. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, the PDGA, on YouTube, and keep following us for all of your coverage of the 2022 Amateur Disc Golf World Championships.